my goal is not to be the best chef in the world. It's just to make sure you are better at cooking.
On the 85th episode of the Passion and Progress Show, we're talking to the creator of Not Another Cooking Show, Stephen Cusato. As a YouTube creator, I talked to Stephen about the finances behind being a creator.
So I basically banked on my savings, which quickly ran out, and then credit cards.
Oh no. Another thing that we talk about is why it's important to have a format to your content creation.
To piggyback off of the point of format is that is my way to ensure I don't burn out.
And one last thing as a creator on YouTube that you may face is getting pigeonholed into a specific niche or genre, and whether that's benefits you or that's a detriment to your growth.
I know, like right now I'm like the pasta guy, which worries me because it's like, how do I then branch out? When I had my surge, 70,000 subscribers in 2 months.
Holy cow, man, that's amazing. Congrats.
Thank you. But I think I screwed myself.
We talk about whether or not it's smart to continue down a certain road, making a specific kind of video that people expect to see on your channel, or do you branch out and create things for yourself? Do you create things for your audience? It's a good question that I think a lot of other YouTube creators have on their minds as well. If you do get value out of this show, all I ask is that you share it with a friend. You can tag me at Javier Mercedes X, and my guest, Stephen Cusato, is at The Food Freak with 2 Ks on Instagram. You can reach him there. Thank you to all of the people at 368 that allowed me to use their facilities. If you don't know what 368 is, it's just a place where Casey Neistat used to have his headquarters, and now a whole bunch of creators that are New York based create out of that building. And they were gracious enough to lend me their studio space for this recording. And if you're watching this online, man, does it look, it looks really good. Thanks again to 368. And without further ado, let's get into the episode. For creators, and especially people that do cooking videos as well, for you, what's a lot of the questions that you're always answering, or what's been on top of mind recently that you're like, man, people really need to focus on this?
With regard to creating?
Yeah.
It's so, sometimes when I think about that, I've listened to so many people talk about it, and it's like a lot of the cliche stuff you hear is like rings so true. It's like, in my experience, like I'm 2 years in, like kind of all in. So I'm in a reflective period. Yeah. I've sort of come into my own. I've figured out what I'm doing. I would have never done anything I'm doing right now had I been concerned about other people. I was always somebody who was really worried about what other people thought of me, and no one would have sort of thought of me as a personality, somebody who could be on camera. When I told people what I wanted to do, nobody was like, yeah, go do that, Steve. You know what I mean? Like, it was, people wouldn't understand it. And so at that moment, you know, do you play an instrument?
Yeah. I actually went to college for piano.
Play guitar at all?
Yeah, I do play guitar.
So you know when you're playing guitar and there's a period of callus building?
Oh, yeah.
And like for me, I think that is the period when somebody realizes, oh, in order to learn playing guitar, I have to experience physical pain.
Which is true.
And then at that point, they're checked out. No thanks, I don't really want to go that way. Or the people who really want to do it will endure, build up the calluses, and then you learn how to play guitar. You get the muscle memory and all that kind of stuff. So for me, I was in a unique point in my life where things had kind of fallen apart, and I was like, screw it. I'm just going to go do this thing. I had been thinking about it for 10 years, you know, since the dawn of all this social media talk, and you hear people like Gary Vaynerchuk talking, writing books years ago. Like, I had been a student of that. It's why I started my food truck. It's why I kind of worked my way out of corporate advertising world into an entrepreneur thing, and then sort of rolled into eventually 10 years later what I'm doing now. And now that I'm 33 and I look back on my life and I figure out like how did I get here, I think the main thing was I learned early on that I felt like things were riskier working at this advertising job that I was working at.
Interesting.
Because, and like this idea that like this job world, for somebody who wasn't like, I went to a school that was a business school. All of my friends graduated with degrees, signing like $70,000 signing bonuses with financial, and it's like I was a marketing guy and barely making like 35,000 out of college.
This is in New York City?
In New York City.
Oh, that's rough.
But that's the reality is like people, like these jobs that are, the industries are being shaken up. Like they can't afford to pay people what they want to be paid. And I tried to get raises. Like there were some really like ridiculous asks of me through this company I worked with for like, you know, like work more hours or give your 2 weeks. When I hadn't gotten a raise in 3 years, it was just like, no thanks. All of these things kind of shaped this opinion that I had where it was just like, it felt riskier. And I had graduated in 2008 in the financial collapse, right? So
perfect timing.
And so now my whole life is like kind of built on this lack of trust in a traditional job. So I spent 12 or 13 years trying to figure out how to create a career for myself. You know what I mean? Like my own thing. And it created lots of ups and downs. I got a business, lost a business. Through that business, I found a girl, got engaged, lost that. You know what I mean? Because I was like trying to find this thing that had taken so long. But after 12 or 13 years, when you've lived enough to like gain experience and understand who you are and what it is you are good at or what you want to do, you sort of arrive at this place that you could not have predicted. And it was all because you sort of weren't, like I've been scared in lots of different ways along this journey, but at each moment I needed to, like I was not scared to do, like there was something that would have scared me that I just decided to not be scared about. Like, so starting the food truck, you know, getting money to do it and then buying the truck and then actually doing it, you know what I mean? Like you're scared shitless. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I quit this job. I was young enough where I wasn't so concerned about the future. Like if I failed, I kind of knew if I failed, it wouldn't be the end of the world. I could kind of come back from it. When I started the cooking show, it was sort of like, I won't let the judgment of other people, which was always made up. You know what I mean? The judgment you make up that somebody is judging you about is all in your head. You know, nobody really was like, I'm worried Steve's starting a cooking show. They're just like, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, but you make it up and you find a way to convince yourself out of doing something. So it's like, I had done that for years and years and years. I had let other people sort of nudge me off of my path because, you know, say you're in a relationship and, you know, people have thoughts, right? Family, you know, spouses, families, and all that kind of stuff, they kind of get in your head and you start to question things that you do. And then you start to do things not for yourself, but to please other people. And I think it's just like, it's a trap in life that almost everybody either kind of falls for or gets around or kind of, you know, falls in a few times in life and learns from it. And I think I got to a point where it was just like, I realized what it's all about is you have to just live freely to explore things you want to do, especially in your 20s where like you can't really do much wrong. You know what I mean? You can't screw your life up too bad if you find yourself at the end of your 20s and you haven't really figured it out. I was in that place. You know what I mean? I turned 30 and I still hadn't really had a developed career yet. Like I hadn't found the thing. Whereas everyone around me is like getting married, and of course I was engaged, but it was like all sort of this crazy sort of, you know, it was building up to something that wasn't going to work because like I wasn't right with myself. Arguably my ex wasn't all good with herself, and we were two like individuals like clinging on to each other to like make each other whole, where at least I know I needed to figure myself out before and like become a real man to figure out my life. And that sort of was the last 2 or 3 years of my life. And this show on YouTube, it sort of is this illuminating thing. It helped me figure out who I was. And so it's just been this 10-year, 12-year journey of discovering who I am, like really just not wavering, right? You know what I mean? Like I lost a lot, I gained a lot, I went through lots of experiences. And I think because of that, I came out the other end. I'm like, okay, this is who I am. I'm confident in it. I'm not worried if anybody doesn't like me for it. You know what I mean? Like I'm good with myself. I figured out how to become my own best friend and somebody who, like, when I'm in trouble, I can rely on this guy inside to kind of help me calm myself down and like figure out a new plan. Just knowing that like you're gonna figure it out. And so it's been nice to kind of get to a place in life where I didn't give up, and I'm at a place I'm happy with, and the future looks really bright. So it's like, it's something I tell people, you have to be fearless with how you feel about yourself and what other people think of you, and just kind of breaking down all of those barriers and just kind of become tunnel vision with respect to like what is going to make you whole and what's going to make you satisfied and happy, and stop like because when you're there, then like everything sort of clicks. You get into a relationship, like that becomes a lot easier when you're not like faking who you are. You know what I mean? Like it becomes a whole nother world and a whole nother approach on life that when you get there, it feels like a relief. Because I've been through hell, you know what I mean? Like like emotional stuff, all that kind of stuff. Not the worst stuff, you know what I mean? But relative to me, like what I went through felt like hell for a lot of reasons. And I kind of felt like I came out the other end way better, way more confident, way more whole, and I'm ready for the future. Like I'm ready for whatever may come my way as a result of the work that I'm doing now. And I just feel like more of a man, more of an adult, like prepared to handle this life that we all kind of have to figure out.
Yeah, and I think it comes across in your content. In watching what you do and just hearing you talk, I can relate to seeing you on screen and deliver the kind of information that you do for people that want to learn how to cook. Yeah. Before we get into like that kind of part of your content creation, one thing I want to touch on though, with where you're at now and where you were before, how was it going into your career at this point in terms of saving for the future? Because I personally am at a point where I am like going full throttle at like doing YouTube stuff. And just like what you were talking about, when you have a certain job, at least you can have your 401k, you can have your health benefits and everything. For me, it's like, all right, my wife has the health insurance and all that kind of stuff. That's the biggest, when I look at going full-time on YouTube or really, really buckling down on content creation, as opposed to external factors of people talking to you, of like talking you out of doing something, I think the actual factual part of it is like, well, what happens if you like break your leg and you don't have health insurance and that kind of stuff? So for me, like I had to put a hold on what I was saving for like 401k and all that other kind of stuff. But then on the other side, dude, I'm so much happier doing what I'm doing. It's like a give and take. But as this builds, it's like the amount of what could be there in the future or what will be there in the future is so much more than what other path I was doing. Yeah. How do you see that?
Well, that's sort of exactly how I essentially, when I was in the position of starting the show, I was not in a great financial position. I had, I was basically running a production company, and I was doing what I'm doing now essentially, but not for myself, for for clients. And I had a huge client that I was working with, Ronzoni. It's a pasta brand. They had many other pasta brands under their brand, just with different packaging. And I was doing work for all of them. And it's like $10,000 a month, and it was the biggest client I ever had. I love how it's a pasta
company, and your videos, you're the pasta guy.
Yeah. Well, that's why I was annoyed, because I lost them, not because of my work, but because like they didn't know what they were doing marketing wise. I lost that client, and at the same time, I sort of had lost my engagement failed. So my strategy was, I had arrived home. I moved out. I was living in a place with her. And so I moved back home, and I'm thinking to myself, what am I going to do? Clearly, I realized the flaw in my business was that I can't give people content and expect them to know what to do with it. I need the 360.
That's a great piece of advice.
I need I was a marketing guy and I was fighting against this. I was basically running an ad agency and then saying, I don't have distribution or media buying capabilities, so you take it.
Yeah.
So I was like, I need to flip the script and the leverage. I need to be the turnkey solution, create the content, have the audience, all that kind of stuff. So I knew that my business plan had failed and I needed something new. And one day I just, I think I was laying in bed depressed and I read Gary Vaynerchuk's latest book, the one where it was like a recap of his original book and like stories of people using his advice.
The yellow one?
Crushing it.
It's either crushing it or...
The yellow one.
Yeah.
I'm reading it. I'm reading all of these weird examples, weird businesses, like just obscure things and the success that these people were having. And I was like, fuck this. Like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Like I looked at my life. I was a chef, recipe developer, whatever you want to call me. I was a food photographer and I was a video producer. I was like, I'm fucking built. I'm literally built for YouTube. I was born to do this. And so I did it. And I just on a whim went and got some vegetables and started the channel. It's just cutting tutorials, knife cutting tutorials. And I think I gained 100 subscribers in like a week or two.
Which is really hard. I remember it took me maybe 3 months to get 100 subscribers. It was a long time.
Well, I don't know if it was 2 weeks, but I knew it was really a lot. I knew that like the feeling I was getting from people like finding me so fast. And I was also promoting it a lot on Facebook groups and stuff like that. I remember feeling like this feels fast. You know what I mean? Like I know some people who can never, and I had another channel, a personal channel where there was like 16 subscribers in forever. So I was like, I knew something was on here. People were liking the videos and it felt different. It felt stylistically like there wasn't a lot on YouTube that looked like this.
Not another cooking show.
And there wasn't a lot of men who looked like me who were doing cooking shows and who had the same demeanor as me. Somebody who's not over the top. Somebody who's not like a female who doesn't have real experience. You know what I mean? I found myself straight in the middle of a world that was crowded with polarizing sort of personalities, right? So you had on one hand, men who were sort of over the top and made just monstrosities of food. And then you had like the other end, which is like female bakers, mom at home bloggers, like nobody who was like a chef turned blog. You know what I mean? Like I had trucker. My foot in both worlds, a chef's world and a home cook's world. So I was like, I can be this like translator for recipes and methods and traditions and use cameras to communicate and show these things in a better way because I have these tools that chefs don't have usually and videographers don't have who are in the food space, right? I had the whole package in one person. I could do it all myself. So I was like, I can make this work. I just need to float myself long enough to see some sort of return. So I basically banked on my savings, which quickly ran out, and then credit cards.
Oh no! Well, I mean,
here's
dude,
the thing.
you got to do what you got. Like,
first off,
continue the story.
I do not recommend this to anybody.
Okay. I mean, that's why I like to talk about this kind of stuff because it's like the real nitty gritty of what it means to really go after what you're passionate about.
Yeah. I've been an adult out of college for 13 years. I generally had one credit card. Mm-hmm. I was not somebody who loved credit card debt. I have a great credit score, never miss late payments. Like I am a stickler for that. And I never wanted to gain a lot of debt. I wanted my debt to credit ratio to always be solid. But I'm doing this and I'm thinking to myself, you're not going to bring in money for a while in terms of the channel itself. I was still doing client work. Like I had worked with this company, Adrenaline Barbecue Company, which is now Slow and Sear Grills. And they gave me a shot early on where he was just like, I need you to make, he was basically like used YouTube talent to market his product. Mm-hmm. So he hired me on and we've had a great relationship and I, do him favors. He does me favors. And he helped kind of keep me afloat. Like I could do like two, 3 videos a month for him. That kept me afloat with whatever else I had going on. And then, the channel started to grow. And then I was like, I think I will be able to kind of get to a place where this is going to pay back my debts in 2 years. You know what I mean? Like, again, I'm rolling the fucking dice.
Yeah.
But it worked, and I knew it would. And I think I would have never done that had I not known. I knew with all of my being, I was doing the right thing, and that it would work out. It's something I can't explain. Like, you can't. There's not many times in life when you're so confident about something that you feel invincible, and that you can take a risk as bold as like relying on credit card debt to get you there, and you feel fine. I never once was like freaking out about it. There are times where money got tight in the last 2 years, but like it always followed by something that worked out. You know what I mean? And what I found is something always works out if you're just working towards it. Even with the food truck, like we would have to make money in New York, you'd have to figure it out. Like, we were a cart, we weren't really a truck, so we couldn't even fit on the street where most trucks could. So we had to get really creative. So we would use like markets in the city. You know, they set up little like markets and fairs with booths. So we were like, we need a booth, like a concept that we could set up with a tent and tables. So like we kind of like, there's a lot of pressure in that. Like, we need to develop a menu and get like kind of cleared to do all this stuff. So it's like, I always kind of relied on this fact where it's like, all right, I'm just going to go to sleep. It's in my mind. It's a problem that needs to be solved. And I'm going to get some sleep and see what happens in the morning. And like, almost whenever I take that approach in life, I wake up with an answer. You know what I mean? And I think I don't know if I think it just has to do with knowing that if you stop thinking about a problem that's bugging you, it gives you clarity in a sense. So it's like, I always relied on this idea that like, if I just step back for a moment, get out of my own sort of bubble of thinking about something, then I can find the solution. And it's probably easier than it looks and sounds. So like, I just kind of like relied on my gut. I knew that it would work out. And like, now it's like I've been paying down that debt. You know what I mean? So it's working, and I'm still saying no to a lot of things. So it's like, I'm trying to like build a credible, respected, like, especially with my audience, somebody that they believe, sort of financial kind of a show that is financially viable. You know what I mean? For me.
Yeah.
While not like, I hate the word selling out, but by not taking every opportunity that's thrown my way that's offering me money. I think that is the key. I know that I could say yes to a lot more, but it's going to bring better opportunity in the future by saying no to the things I'm saying no to. I'm not living extravagantly. You know what I mean? Everything is, I can expense a lot of food on the show, you know, which is nice. It's all run through a business, and everything I cook is basically research. I have expensive taste, but I know that, you know, if I work hard enough, I will, you know, I want a big, how nice would it be to have a big kind of food wonderland like this?
And for those that are just listening, since we're in 368, which you can hear the heater kind of banging in the background, but it's a very wide open space. And for those that are not familiar with 368, it's just a place for creators to come. This is where Casey Neistat, his home base was for a very long time. And they have everything that you would want and then some. If you want to be a gamer, here we're doing a podcast. They have all of these filming things, but continue.
Yeah. So like, I have plans for the show. I want the show to be something that continues to evolve over time. Everyone asks me, do you want a TV show? It's like, I have one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I can't go to Food Network and be like, hey, I don't script anything. You're going to let me just free flow. You're going to give me creative freedom. You're going to let me loose. They'd say no. They'd say, you don't smile. You should be smiling till it hurts. And I would say, no, stop drinking your own Kool-Aid. This is a different world on YouTube. And it's different these days. You know what I mean? If I got up there and smiled ear to ear every day, I don't think I would sit here with as many viewers. because people would know I don't smile all day. I'm a very happy person. I'm kind. I try and be gentle, whatever. But like, I just don't smile all the time.
Yeah.
Even when I'm when I'm really happy. So this idea that to fit some sort of mold that some cable station sort of developed, like it just wouldn't work, so I'm happy doing what I'm doing. I feel control. I like to have the control of, kind of making all the decisions and fleshing this thing out. What I loved about the food truck was developing it. So I think for me, I love this process of figuring it out, adding elements, right? Evolving it. Like for me, I'm so excited by where the show could go. I know like right now I'm like the pasta guy, which worries me because it's like, how do I then branch out to explore things in food that are important, right? If YouTube's algorithm, or if people don't click on videos that aren't pasta videos from mine, like how does that work, right?
Have you seen that happening?
Yes, I do. Right now I'm doing a holiday thing.
Oh yeah. Do you want to talk about your plan of attack?
Sure. I mean, I have this holiday plan of attack that's up on my website, and what it is this is a learning experience too, right? I want to sell this digital product. I have a lot of experience hosting on the holidays, and I have all of these recipes, and I thought, wouldn't it be nice to sort of give back to people who help me throughout the year by charging for like this little product at the end of the year? It helps fund the show, all that kind of stuff. So I put together I kind of put a paywall behind my holiday recipes. So like for November and December, I put together this PDF where it's like stories, baby pictures from the holidays, timelines on how to prep, all of my recipes organized. I have master shopping lists. I have all of this stuff. And I'm thinking, this is so valuable. I was going to sell for $5. Everybody's like, don't sell it for $5. You're giving away so much. I was making 5 extra videos a month to put up there. I was really busting my ass.
Not only that, but you're making yourself available for people that have questions, correct?
Yes. Yeah. I sold it and it went well, but it was very much underwhelming based off of my size, because the initial video to launch it got 6,000 views, whereas pasta videos of mine get anywhere from like 70,000 to 100.
What'd you learn from that then?
I learned that like for some people might be able to just upload anything and it get views. But when you become known for something on YouTube gives you that authority, and then you see a major difference between what I do for pasta and then all of these holiday recipes, which are like obscure family things, like, but still, like they're not getting nearly the amount of views as I do when I make a video I know I do, which is frustrating for me. It's like, maybe it's the thumbnails, the titles, that all has an impact, because now I see people are clicking those videos less when they're being served them. And I don't know if it's because people don't have a familiarity with them or not. Maybe they're just obscure family recipes I'm going through, but it's strange, right? And so like now YouTube is a lot of learning stuff. It's always changing. And I've sort of, the first year of doing it was sort of like working it out. Like, how does YouTube even work? How do you even do this? And the next year was just like kind of coming to my own. But now it's like, yeah, it's so frustrating because I have this like thumbnail style. I'm a photographer. I wanted to pull that photography aspect into there. And there's obviously this signature cutting board style. But if I don't nail that, then that could significantly ruin my video and how it performs, right?
Yeah.
If it's too dark, if it is brown on brown, I have a brown cutting board. If the food is brown on it and I don't use a plate. So it's like all of these things, like I feel like I'm actually hurting myself. I'm aware of me doing things that aren't going to get me views. And it becomes this frustrating thing. It's like, how do you figure that out? And then do I want to just be this channel that is like, I have an important mission to myself about the channel. So it's not about being trendy or doing things that are going to get tons of views. Although like the ironic thing is
it helps.
That's the cycle, right? You need the views so that people find you. I don't love that aspect about YouTube, but I understand it's the world that I live in and I have to play around it. So I have to adjust my content in sort of a cadence where it's like pasta, Italian, something different than pasta, Italian. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I have to really overload the pasta so that I'm growing at the rate that I need to be every month, but then pepper in the stuff I want to say, which is difficult.
The one thing I was going to ask is, for the next time around, and I know this is the second year that you've been doing the Plan of Attack, correct? Yeah, so for the next time around, and I know you're promoting it in your videos now, and you even say in your precursor video, the one that you were talking about that got to 6K views, in that video, you're like, I'm going to be promoting the hell out of this in my further videos. But from looking on the outside, would you have put the initial promotion in a pasta video? Do you think that would have really helped the sales in the beginning?
Yeah, but again, like it's hard to be so planned out, right?
It's crazy because from an outsider look, I look at your channel and it's like Tuesday, Thursday, and so for the audience that hasn't seen his material or that knows you for maybe one or two videos, your aesthetic is so professional, and I want to say perfectionist, where it's like professional. Like, it's so well done. And how he's saying, like, yes, I'm a food photographer, it's so true. And I love how you get up on the table, take the top down shot and all that kind of stuff. But even how you made the comment that you have to think about not making brown on brown food because you have this aesthetic of the brown thing. For me, like, I have this teal color that I like to put into everything, and mainly it became part of my channel because it's in the background of most of my thumbnails, and I was just like, oh, just start throwing teal on everything. That, and it's 33333 when you put it in Photoshop for the number, and it's really easy to remember that. 3 is my favorite number. But when you look at your material, you say it may not be planned out, but when I look at your channel, I'm like, dang, man, the fact that you have a style. And I was just telling the people that I was hanging out with before I came to interview you, like, just the way that he's been able to accomplish a certain cadence with all of his videos. When you click on a Not Another Cooking Show video, you know you're going to get this highlight reel in the beginning. You know that you're going to obviously learn how to cook this amazing food. You see the stylistic portion of how you shoot the food, and it's done a certain way. Then you go about talking about it. Then you show like another highlight reel, then you do like a recap and all that other stuff. If you miss something during the video, you'll put a little text in, and they'll be like, hey, by the way, I forgot to like dry this meat or something like that. So make sure you dry it. But just the fact that you have a outline for most of your videos, I think speaks volumes to where you're at as a creator. Like, when it comes to creating a video in your mind for that channel, there's so much that you've already done prep work. You don't have to reinvent the wheel every single time you do a video. And I think that's what's amazing about seeing the progression of looking at some of your first videos. And even then, you can start to see the cutting board make its way in. You can start to see your top-down shot, and then the way that you may or may not put text in, and then you'd like remove text. But if you see a thumbnail from you pop up on your feed, you know, hey, that's Steven.
Well, I think that's a good point, and I forgot to, like, it's something that I'd like to talk about, because the format and structure of the show is something that was like a aha moment for me. Mm-hmm. I was like, so first I was like, it's fun to watch those beginning episodes. You see the show form quite literally.
Oh yeah, I was doing such a deep dive, and I was like, dude, you can see it in like, I hate cutting people off, but one of the things I love is you can see just how you take your photo for your thumbnail. The way that you edit it into the video in the beginning is you might take 5 seconds to showcase you taking the cutting board, pushing it forward, then you getting up on the table, taking the snapshot, getting down from the table, moving the thing back. Now, if you look at one of your videos, it's just like really
realized
snap,
what I needed to show and what I didn't to say the same things.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And seeing it now, it's not even what I just discussed. And what's interesting is I didn't even know that's what you were doing when I was watching your most recent videos, is that you were pushing it forward, getting up, taking the photo. All I saw was like the flash, but I was like, oh, he's getting the thumbnail. And then to see the beginning videos was like, oh, that's the process behind it. But it's really cool to see, like, oh, I wonder if he saw his audience audience retention during those certain moments. This probably isn't important as like, look, I just want to show the little flash on camera. I love how you leave the sound effect in there too, because it's like so cool. And then you showcase, that's the thumbnail. What's also, and I completely derailed your thing, but I also want to get back to how your cutting board and your thumbnails, because since we're on this topic, what's interesting about your channel is you've set up a limitation of I have to plate this on my cutting board as opposed to something else. And for some dishes, like what if it's a soup? What if it's something else that like doesn't conform to a flat surface? How are you getting around that? And that's something that you always have to approach with your plating styles.
Well, the reason I don't plate, and we'll have to get back to the format.
Yeah, for sure.
The reason I don't plate is because when I started with doing cutting tutorials, and I would just throw the chopped stuff on the board in sort of some sort of pattern. And then I got to making a recipe and I was like, oh shit, what am I going to, like, as a food stylist, photographer, like the plate is everything.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
If I don't have a good plate, I can't put it on there, especially for a photo. So I went through this rabbit hole of thought that is like, well, now I have to buy plates for every episode to make sure that the plate is right for the food. Oh. And then how much is that going to cost? And where am I going to store it? And how much time is that going to cost me for every, and I was like, fuck that. I can't. Get the plate out of here. We're not using plates. We're going straight on the cutting board. The cutting board is the canvas. We can create some sort of artisticness from it, but it really was rooted in the fact that, like, from a logistic standpoint, I didn't have the time, the money, or the want to really put out of all the energy I'm going to have to spend on this show, buying and picking out plates was something I just didn't want to do. I felt like it wouldn't add what I thought it would add. You know, at the time, like I was like, whoa, the plate is essential.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And now what I'm doing is like, okay, I've created the style and now I can almost like troll my followers. If I have a soup and I put it in a bowl, they'll be like, why didn't you just throw it on the plate, on the board? Like they want me to just
like put this liquid on a board.
Yes. And so I can't, obviously, but like I will find something that works. Like right now, pastas, like some pastas are solely made with fat, like a butter. And if you kind of, and part of the beauty of a plated pasta dish is the viscosity of whatever sauce that it's coated with, sort of like displayed around the pasta in the dish. And it's very hard to achieve on a cutting board. So now I'm thinking, I'm doing very traditional red saucy pastas. They look great on a cutting board, in my opinion. But what I've realized is anytime I've topped a dish with olive oil or something like that, all I get is a dark stain on the cutting board.
Ooh.
So it at that point, I'm like, this looks like shit. Mm-hmm. Like it's not even a pride thing. Like this is how I cut or how I plate. It's like I can't. You know, I've had some really bad shots where I was just like, ugh, I have to really like. A lot of what I do is breaking out of rigidity, this stubbornness.
Yeah,
that I have to do it this way, right? Mm-hmm. As soon as I realize like I don't have to only plate on the cutting board, like if I want to plate in a bowl, I'll do it.
Oh, are you gonna get away from it?
I don't. That's the thing is like I don't know. Like it becomes very frustrating. But like what I'm trying to do is be more open-minded.
I gotcha.
Like, don't push yourself into a corner, because I already feel pushed into a corner with pasta.
Yeah.
I don't like that. Part of the beauty of this world and this job is freedom. Mm-hmm. So it's like I don't love the idea that I have to kind of play in this pasta world only. But at the same time, it's like invigorating that at least I am known for, like, people want something from me that they think I'm good at, right? Yep. Or they think that I have something to value. So like there's pride in that. So it becomes just this ongoing kind of battle you got to work out. But to piggyback off of the point of format is that is my way to ensure I don't burn out, right? Yeah. And I like, that doesn't mean And okay, so what I've realized is I've done some projects here in 368, cooking videos, where I've had to feed events and parties, and I always use that as an opportunity to film it. Even if I can't really man the cameras, I'll figure out a way to place it around and I'll make a video out
Mouth
of it.
cam.
All sorts of stuff. So what I realized when I first made a video here was, it's like, ooh, my format doesn't fully work within the confines of what I did here. So I need a new one, right? So for me, I had this, I came up with this format of, I'm going to split it into 2 segments, into 2 songs, essentially. The prep in my house for the event. So I'll show you how I prepped for the event. And then the kind of more energetic phase, which is the event itself, and which has a different song that sort of pushes the momentum of the video. And so then I did one of that. It took me forever to edit, and then the next one was a lot easier. I was like, oh, I have a new format for this now. Yeah. And so like I started to realize like the format removes decisions from the creative process
in a good way.
In a good way. Yeah. You're being creative within some sort of structure. Yeah. Instead of, you're tossed into a desert and somebody says, be creative. You know what I mean? Like every video has to be a new creation. For me, I tried that, as you probably saw. And I after like a week or 2 of doing the videos, I was like, oh, like every day I cannot wake up, come up with an idea, then create like this insanely creative sort of video around it. And at the time, I also was really into like the frenetic cuts and all that kind of stuff. I was trying to figure out the right tempo. It was a lot of just working it out, and the format was the key thing, right? So even now, I was late for this because I thought it was tomorrow.
I actually felt bad because I was like, dude, I wonder if he's like in the middle of cooking something and then he has.
I was going to, right? so I was going. I have to shoot tomorrow's video, and which I will do after this. But it's not a hard video. It's just a Christmas cookie. It's aunt's recipe. It's like 5 ingredients, comes together real quick, super easy. But like because of this format, it's like I'll roll it back. I'll get my ingredients, set up my cameras in 5 minutes, and I'll start rolling because I know. So nice. The idea was all of these segments. Like I wanted to create these long form videos, and they started at like 6-minute videos, 4 6-minute videos. It was opening montage, present of the image. Then I had a monologue again, essentially something that was like in depth about the video. What is it about? Is there a story? Is there history? Yeah. Then got into like the recipe. It's like recipe teaching / montage. So it's montaging how a recipe is made while interjecting with directions, while also overlaying text. So it's like every style combined into one. It was like I'm super inspired by everything. It's like whatever I can consume is an inspiration, and we can find a way to like take something and blend it into the show. And then that montage of actually making the recipe is sort of like this build up to a climax, which is when the thing is starting to be pushed. The cutting board gets pushed, the photo gets taken. You know that the video is sort of on it's decline, not in quality, but like it's nearing its end. And then I taste it, I talk, I have a credit scene and then an end credit scene. I love superhero movies, so it's like I always love this idea that there was something. That's awesome. That's where you got that from. Oh, 100%. Because then it's freedom. It's freedom within a structure, right? So it's like, not that I'm a character on my show, but I behave a certain way on the show, as if you're with me. It's not that I'm on camera. You're with me hanging out. That's the behavior. I am behaving right now on camera with you the same way I would on camera, where it's like a little bit serious, but like there's a little bit of like you could see the passion underneath it. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, and then afterwards I may get silly, like I'm sweating usually at that point in the end credit scene, or like everything's messed up, and I'm usually more relaxed, and I'll share something. It's more it's more warm, I guess you could say. I had to give my first panel talk or whatever. And that's where I arrived on this idea that I had created a structure, and that structure kept me in line and it kept me going. And it never, because of that structure, I never woke up one day and was like, oh, I can't make videos today. I don't feel it. I don't know what to do. You know what I mean? Like that idea that I don't know what to do doesn't exist in my world.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? Like I have ideas for videos till I'm like 70. You know what I mean? Like, so it's very exciting. It feels like a Food Network TV show had a format even before I even realized it, and everything has this format on TV. My thing was always to approach this YouTube as if somebody hired me at like Netflix or on some channel or whatever to produce a TV show. And I was like, how would I approach it the same way, but make it a food show that is uniquely YouTube? I work very hard not to seem like I'm above anybody, because in the food world, there's this perception of elites and blah blah blah, and for me that is such nonsense. This elitism that these restaurants are that people think these restaurants kind of give. It's like they're cooking fresh ingredients and they're doing minimal stuff to it, which is sort of the same kind of mentality I have. And it's like when I teach a pasta dish that takes 3 ingredients and one of them is water, no one on earth can say that is elitist. You know what I mean? All Italian dishes that even some restaurants might charge $40 for were developed strictly out of poverty, or like just like they didn't have anything. This is all they had. And through teaching people these methods, as opposed to like what like some Americans would be like, this is my recipe for it, right? And I have recipes from stuff, but like what I'm more interested in now is like, I'm not even interested in my recipes. I'm interested in relearning the proper technique and then flipping that into my lens, right? So I can be a better chef if I just like get out of my own ego and stop thinking that my random recipe that I created without any base of proper technique is somehow better than some traditional method where people studied and real chefs kind of added their touch. You know what I mean? Like, become more like that. It'll help you teach better. You know what I mean? Like, because for me, like I said, I'm a translator, a teacher. Like, my goal is not to be the best chef in the world. It's just to make sure you are better at cooking. And by having that mindset and that goal of like every day, make sure more people are cooking than yesterday, and with confidence, it's like you can never like. For me, I'll never wake up one day and be like, what the fuck am I doing with my life? You know what I mean? Like, it's so simple. It's so vague. It's so easy to understand that like I'm directed every day, just in such a very straight line. And for me, I think to get back to your first question, like that's something that creators could learn is like, I mean, we've been just going on tangent, but
yeah, for sure. Well, I think everything that you have talked about is somebody can take from that whatever they're creating, for sure. And I think there's so much analogous to creating a dish when you're creating a video or any other type of thing, and especially when it comes to format. And just to touch on that a little bit, and getting back to the very beginning, talking about when I started doing YouTube, I started doing cooking videos. And from my perspective, I knew nothing about recipes or anything like that, but I did know how to do video editing because that's my profession. And I was like, what's the thing that I can bring to this table in terms of YouTube-ness? And for me, it was like, okay, well, I could like start cooking every single dish from Gordon Ramsay's cookbook. So that's what I did. Lo and behold, what ended up happening was I just got really a lot better at cooking food. The thing that I want to ask you about, though, and this goes with the format piece, is cooking videos take a lot, man. They take so much because not only are you cooking the food, but you also, the amount of prep is not just the food prep, but you have to have the cameras ready. How often is it that you do a video and then you have to scrap the whole thing because something happened? You didn't have a card in the camera or anything like that. Like when I was doing my videos, what ended up happening was I would like cook something and then, oh, I didn't have like an angle on whatever the main thing was. Like, oh, you had to boil the thing, but I didn't have any footage of me boiling the thing or whatever it was. And from my perspective, since I didn't really know that much about cooking, it was more about the experience that I was having while cooking the piece and then trying to just cut that into like a 2-minute like montage type of piece. But I'm really curious from your beginning to now, how far have you grown? Because I know we've already touched on it format wise, but I know it just takes a lot because you have like a side angle, you have your front angle, you have your mouth cam and all that kind of stuff. And I know like the mouth cam really helps for a lot of those top down shots, especially when you want to get that. Well, a lot of times when you're cooking, you just want to get that first person view. And then the way that you circumvent that is like so creative and it just makes sense and it gets to the point and you're able to do what you need to do.
Well, that kind of creation came out of two places. It's like one is like I hated the tasty, they call hands and pans. It's just a top-down camera, and it shows a recipe fast, sped up. The tasty model.
Okay, and that's where they'll wipe their hand across the screen, and then that will make That
I think just really like there's this whole idea that like a recipe can be taught and learned and consumed within 30 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
It is a travesty, in my opinion.
A traveshamocracy.
Oh my God.
A travesty, a sham, and a mockery.
Exactly. So for me, I was that angle was banned from my set.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Out of stubbornness until I realized I needed it, and then I realized it was impractical for me to have an overhead rig.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, what will work? And at the time, GoPro had come out with, what are they at now?
I think 7.
I think they're actually at 8, and I got the 7, which had really great stabilization.
Okay.
I saw my friend John Reyes, who's a scooter rider, get it, and I'm watching his stabilization. I'm like, maybe that'll work in my mouth. I don't know why. I don't know why I thought it would work why I had to put it in my mouth, but I thought, and everyone asks, why don't you put it on your head? Why don't you put it on your chest?
Chest is not as good.
First off, the mouth, I have complete control over directing.
Mm-hmm.
I have my head. I can't move my body the same way I can direct my head.
Mm-hmm.
So I can do smooth motions. I can use my neck as, pan tilt.
Yeah.
You have a better sort of use of it, and it's easy. Pop it in. As soon as I as soon as I have the shot, I throw it on the table. And there's little friction. And friction is always the thing I'm terrified of. What's going to make it harder for me to make a video? So it's like, yes, is it a GoPro footage? Is it always color graded perfectly? No, I don't color grade. You know what I mean? I'm using 3 different brands of cameras in my videos, and they all have different color temperatures.
How long does it take you to put together the footage after you're done? Not exactly create the piece, but to sync all of your audio and everything.
I don't sync.
Okay.
So
that's what I mean though. Like, how long does it take for you to even have
this is my workflow.
Go ahead.
I take all the camera footage, organize it in folders, then load it into my, not my timeline yet, but into the, I don't even know
like
the
a bin
proper words, the bins or whatever.
Yeah.
And then I will take all of my slow-mo cam, my 60 frames per second footage, import that into the timeline first, throw it all in slow motion. Then add my Sony camera footage, which is like the main audio kind of me talking footage, throw that after. And then any GoPro footage or iPhone footage I use, which I do use my iPhone sometimes now, goes at the end, and I use that to kind of
do you just sprinkle it? You sprinkle
and then
okay.
and then I cut down my montage. I'm always filming. You said you wanted to ask me what happens when I miss a shot. I don't usually. I've never had to scrap a video because there's always at least one camera on.
Jeez.
And I never shut them off really. So they're always capturing. And there's something that might happen. I want, like, you know what I mean? It's so easy to cut where this whole like 30-minute footage of nothing happening, that's easy to get rid of.
Yeah.
It's hard to create out of nowhere. It's impossible, right? So I choose to record everything. And then everything's chronological in the timeline. So what a lot of editing has to do is just getting yourself in the mood to sit there and just diligently. There's not a lot of thinking, to be honest. I've created a world where I don't have to be a creative genius every day.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But I can still be impressive in the work that I can achieve because of just the style that I've created.
Yep.
And a lot of the time is spent just removing.
Oh yeah.
It's all removing, right? And that's what I would hope to get help with one day.
Mhm.
If I can get to a point where like I can edit for like an hour and complete the video, which is what happens after, you know, I have like different edits, like an initial edit, a pre-edit where it's just like visible nonsense I get rid of. Then, you know what I mean? It's like slowly working your way down to 20 minutes of footage that you could then edit to a final 10 or 8, you know what I mean? If I can get that, then I can shoot like 1 or 2 videos a day, and I can get I can get ahead. Right now it's like, if I should, what should have happened is I was going to shoot today, but realized I had this, and I should have uploaded another video I had ready in the pipeline, but I can't, my efficiency is not up to that par yet on that level. So it's like, I have to kind of wing it. So I'll go home and I'll shoot it, and I may get the photo, because I do like a 2-day rollout of my videos.
Damn.
So I may get my like teaser photo out a little late, but it's like, I stopped putting pressure on myself to do that. Like when I first started, I would be like, Tuesday at 6 o'clock, Thursday at 6 o'clock. If you don't post and upload by then, you've failed.
I know the feeling all too well. I'm sure there's other people listening that know that all too well as well.
So I really stopped caring, because I think one person said like YouTube benefits you if you consistently upload exactly at the right time. So like, I didn't know how serious that was. Like, is it within the realm of time you upload? Or
Yeah.
Exactly. You know what I mean? I'm thinking if I do that, YouTube is going to give me some sort of, you know, reward. And but it's all bullshit. You know what I mean? Like, you just got to create good content. Just isolate yourself and create and see what you can come up with. And I guarantee you, if you have the right mindset, you're going to come up with something good. You know?
Sticking with your edits and everything, one of the specific questions that I had, and you brought it up earlier, was like, for the 368 thing, you had 2 acts of music. What I will say is the music on your channel is freaking phenomenal, man. It's so awesome. And a lot of what I see is like, it's like either SoundCloud people or other artists that are doing some really amazing things. How do you facilitate that relationship to have the music on your channel that you do?
Well, I basically use all avenues. I use MusicBed. I'm a MusicBed partner, but I also use Epidemic Sound.
Okay.
I told them when they wanted to sign me up, is like, I cannot be exclusive to one source of music.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about, you know, using a source of music. It's about finding the right song.
Yeah.
So whatever it takes me to find that song, I kind of I'll go that route. Most of it comes from SoundCloud people. I wish the days where like you could use these sampled artists more. I mean, the music I love is like 40s and 50s music, which a lot of these artists sample with hip hop beats.
Mm-hmm.
So it gives you that modern feel that young kids like. But then these older generation of people who watch my show, they're like, I know that song. It's a heart song, or it's like, you know what I mean? Like, so it was a lot about that. And now I'm at a point where the music was a lot of an attention grabbing thing.
Yeah.
In the beginning, it was very, I used an artist who kind of isn't really around anymore, who's very in your face kind of crazy songs that were energetic. So I was relying on my lack of energy. I was relying on music to kind of compensate that.
That's a great concept to bring up. Yeah.
And it worked, because like nothing about my videos, the editing, whatever, until I started talking would say like sometimes I look back and I was like a little bit, I wanted to be the kind of way that I am, but like sometimes I'll look at my original videos and be like, oh my God, Steve, you could have had a little energy.
Yeah.
Like you could have tried a little bit. So there was finding a balance, but yeah, I mean, a lot of the music was to compensate for a lack of energy that I was offering.
So for your earlier stuff, if it was a SoundCloud person, is this something that was getting claimed musically?
Most of it, no.
Or is it that somebody that is a SoundCloud, they produce music and they post their stuff to SoundCloud, they just so happen to be a Epidemic and MusicBed producer?
No. I do my best to not pick songs that will get claimed.
Exactly. That's what I was trying to get. Yeah.
But like for the holidays, I might use a song that I know will. And like for me, it's making the decision where it's like, do you want to sacrifice the ad revenue to use that song? That's how important the music is to me. I may make that call.
There.
Depending if I can make up the money somewhere else, it's important. But it's also important for me to like support artists. Like my good friends, one of my best friend is in Germany. Shout out to Lion's Head. You can get them on Spotify. He's a musician. He's been a musician his whole life. And like he's in the last like 5 years, he's starting to gain some success in Germany. But it's like I like supporting these artists. So like I'll go, any artist I'm using, I go and I give them the money and whatever they ask for. It's usually like pay what you want, and I'll try and throw like some extra money to them. I like supporting them. I like putting them as many places I can to support the artists. So it's like I do care about music on a real level, and I like the fact that like if I put somebody use somebody's music in my song, that like people will find them because of it. Like
My Spotify playlist for liked video or liked music right now is, I think like the first top 3 are from your videos now.
See, I mean, that's like, I think what I love about, first off, like this idea of like being any sort of like public figure or having any sort of fame scares the shit out of me, and I don't want it at all. But like I've felt the impact of my influence even as of late, just from people with cooking. And it's like, that's the coolest part of this all, is like when somebody does something positive for themselves because of you, that then like everything seems worth it. All of the hard work, everything, it's like, it's just worth it for that one person. And it's like, if you're fortunate to have many people who feel that, then it's like, you're doing something right.
Can you touch on that just a little bit, how it is to interact with your community? Because from the outside looking in and just meeting you in a very brief period of time when I was here at 368 for the first time, is like, oh, hey, it was actual meeting you in person before learning about your channel, and then getting to see your journey since then. And the fact that you take the time to also interact with so many people online I think is really cool. Can you just talk about that just a little bit in terms of what it is to also interact with the people that interact with you on YouTube, Instagram, social media?
Well, as of late, I've tried to focus it more on Instagram, and I try and make it say like, look, if you want to reach out to me, I will probably answer you on Instagram. But I did like try to answer every comment on YouTube for a long time. And,
that's tough, man.
And then what happened was I got to that place where I saw a bit of a surge, and then I really experienced what negative comments are like. And I don't get a ton. I'm not gonna say like, but there was one day where I got bombarded, and it felt like I'm good. Like it kind of bounces off of you, right? At first, like you're not like bothered by it. Like, you're kind of above it. But when you keep hearing it, or like it kind of keeps hitting you. Like one day you wake up and you're like, you can feel it in your stomach. Like, am I a piece of shit? You know what I mean? Like,
I had one video do the same thing, but continue.
And so like I started, there was a point when I was growing where it was like every day I was waking up with intense anxiety. It's like, I gained 1,000 subscribers last night. How many of them told me I'm a shithead? You know what I mean? Like,
it's so true though. It's so true.
And so, and again, a lot of it was made up, but it was like, there were some bad days where it was like, and those bad days ruined the days where I get no bad comments, but I'm too nervous to read them sometimes. You know what I mean? So I do read my YouTube comments, and I do answer YouTube comments, and I'm trying to integrate that more, but I needed to take a break from it on some point, because it felt better to, like, I even told one of my fans who's like kind of more of like a fan plus, like she has more beyond privileges. I gave her moderator kind of status and was like, just delete any of the real obscene comments before I even see them. Because I was like waking up, reading them first thing. And waking up and reading your comments first thing is the worst thing you can do. And I fall victim to it. But if you can just wait till the afternoon, like reading that stuff in the first thing in the morning, which is what I was always doing, just it started to poison me.
you're in a reaction state as opposed to like pursuing
first
what you want to do.
I can barely keep my eyes open and you're an asshole. It's like, you cannot start your day like that. You know what I mean? Even if you know it's not true, even if you're better than that, even if you're stronger than just letting that get to you, even the strongest people, like, you know, it just seeps in somehow. So, yeah. But I always want to be close with the people, because it's like, if I want them to, it's part of my, as a business owner, this is the service I can offer, and it's in service of my mission, which is ensuring more people cook than yesterday. If you're going to leave a comment of something stupid, I'm not going to really answer it. But if you have a question, like, I did this happened, why did this happen? I will go in there and answer it to the best of my ability. And if I don't know the answer, I'll explain that and give my best estimation. But it's like, that is the thing that will make my missions, like, that will be the success.
Yep.
When I look back, is that, you know, it took me 2 minutes to do that, and the impact it will have is valid, right? Like, for me, it's like, if I see real questions on YouTube, that is what I'm drawn to. And of course, now sometimes when I'm in, like, now that I'm like, the mental stuff is a little better, like, when I see a bad comment, it's a trap. I do want to answer it. And it's hard to focus. What happened was, I saw myself focusing more on bad comments than good comments, and it made me shift. I was like, okay, I want to start answering these comments again, but not going after that little troll that I want to just destroy. I want to ruin his life right now.
Yeah.
I want to acknowledge my true fans and the respectful people, because this isn't like a controversial world we're living in here, at least that I am. The world of recipes and food, like, there should not, the fact that some people have such vicious opinions is just a little bit scary, and it kind of speaks to the kind of people who comment on YouTube sometimes, negative stuff. But, like, most people should be watching my videos to learn how to cook.
Yeah.
Because they're curious about something. You know what I mean? I think a lot of people, I'm getting to a point now where people, like, hate watch me. You know what I mean? Like,
just to see what you're up to.
You get, like, dislikes before the video even plays.
Yeah.
And it's like, what are these? Who are these people? Like,
yeah.
Are you kidding me? Like, you're waiting for the premiere, but you're, like, also disliking and trying to, you know what I mean? So it's like all this kind of stuff. And it's a constant journey of becoming more, you know, responsible with how you act in this kind of new world you're in. And it's a crazy journey, but it's all about trying to just kind of get it. What I like about it is, like, I just feel like more of myself now.
Yeah.
Since starting my YouTube channel, it's like, who I am is now who I truly am is now what other people truly see. And I think that is the thing I'm most proud about.
Authenticity.
Yeah.
Yeah. What he's referring to at the beginning of your statement was, when a video picks up on your channel, and I wish it upon everyone if they are pursuing YouTube, is it'll get suggested, it will start appearing in browsing, and then it will be like right when people open up the homepage. And when that starts happening, is it gets released to a complete demographic that may or may not be into whatever content that you produce. And when that happens, it opens up this floodgates of just anybody in the world to watch the video. And they may or may not know about who you are or what you're doing. And like he said, you wake up and you'll have like, oh dude, 1,000 subscribers. But I just like what you're saying, if I see something like that happen, I'm going to have like 20 comments that I want to reply to everyone, because here's all these new people. But I know once I open that up and I start scrolling, there's going to be some people that it's like, he doesn't know what he's talking about and all this other stuff. And I'm like, sometimes you reply to them, then you delete the comment, then you reply back, and then you're like, that was a little too harsh. Maybe it wasn't harsh. Maybe I didn't know what I was talking. No, I know what I'm talking about. Like, all this stuff goes through your head with the comments and all that other kind of stuff. It definitely, like, it can wear on you, but then you kind of reassure yourself that you do know what you're talking about. Yeah. Where can people find you?
YouTube. You can just search for Not Another Cooking Show. Hopefully by now,
yeah,
popping up. Instagram, it's The Food Freak with 2 Ks.
What was the decision behind that? Because you do have a Not Another, and I noticed that you posted that people were tagging you in your Not Another Cooking Show IG.
Well, so The Food Freak, which is originally it was just The Food Freak with 1K when I had my food truck. The food truck was called Food Freaks.
Okay.
And I had a blog that was called The Food Freak.
So it already had an initial audience before.
This was like my big branding sort of thing back in the day. And then I sort of used, when that business closed, I sort of used The Food Freak and had 400 something followers on there. And when I started the show, I created the 2 accounts with the Not Another Cooking Show account. And I didn't really know what I was going to do. Like, is it make a new one, use
your old one? Yeah.
And I started to just use the one I have, and that one started growing. And so, and then I was posting on both of them, and it seems stupid. Like, some people are gonna see me from 2 accounts post the same thing.
I have a passion and progress one, and then I have my own. And the thing is like, was
one cannibalizing the other?
Are people following me for just the podcast? Which I know, like, look, if you're gonna follow me for just the podcast, I completely understand that you would not be into like a Premiere Pro tutorial. So why would you want to like see that kind of stuff? But it's like the personal one grows a certain way. But I have been seeing if I just stick to just podcast stuff and I post it on both, it's like okay for right now. I don't know. I don't try and overwork myself on the podcast one.
Yeah. Well, podcasts are another interesting thing. Like, I don't even know what you do after this. And, like, I'm curious.
This will never see the light of day.
I'm curious to do it too, because like there's so much in the food world. I feel like I could probably sit here and talk about food with you outside of video creating for 3 hours.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And what's funny is like the more I do these podcasts, the more I realize like I have a lot to say. Like, almost to the point where it's like I can't even organize it in my head. Like, I lose track of what I'm saying all the time because it's just like based off of food and video production and YouTube. There's just like, there's too much information and so much shit going on all the time that like there's always like a 3-hour conversation to be had.
What I would do if I were if you really wanted to pursue it, I wouldn't, and especially because you know the whole elimination of friction. If you wanted to pursue the podcast thing, I would say only do audio. And then if you kept it to recording the audio, like if it were 10-minute snippets of information on cooking or whatever you want it to be, or you could have those really long discussions if you wanted it to be like an interview type of format. But because you already have all of the knowledge and everything about what you're cooking, it would be a dual type of thing where if this is what you were cooking that day or that week, then you come out with the like shorter version of the audio version on a podcast. But
so like the podcast and the video sort of play off each other.
Yeah, there's one interview that I did with Kim Jimenez. She has a channel called The Business Lounge, or her channel is Kim Jimenez, but she owns The Business Lounge, and her whole thing, getting to the whole planning thing, she's like a month ahead in her planning and stuff. She's like
so
one
jealous
of
those people.
Yeah, it's not just like a drop in a bucket. Like, it just didn't happen overnight. She's been running The Business Lounge for 7 years now, and it's taken 7 years for her to get to this point. But to give you an idea, she had 7,000 subscribers and was already 100K in revenue for what she was doing with just her YouTube channel. So just in terms of what she does, and I can see it with what you do with the plan of attack, where you establish with your community, look, over the next November and December, I'm going to be talking about these things, and this is what I'm going to be cooking. You're already pre-planning, like, and getting people in the mindset of, this is the kind of content that you can expect to see over the next 2 months. Then after that, it's like, okay, yeah. What comes from there? But just in seeing that from an outsider's perspective, is like you were talking about how like, oh, I don't know, like it's every other video is like, what's it going to be? But from me looking in, I'm like, man, this guy's so on top of his stuff. He knows what he's doing.
What's funny is like I just did a turkey carbonara video, and that wasn't planned at the beginning of the month, and I had my holidays planned like 3 months in advance.
Yeah.
That was me being like, shit, man, like I need a little life in the channel. Like,
yeah.
It's like you get scared, like if you're not hitting the views that you are accustomed to, that you're growing. But it's like, for me, it's testing the waters where it's like, no, my
what you have to do.
My channel's not growing.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that I didn't post what my channel loves the most in a month, right? And that's not anyone's fault. Like maybe people just love my pasta more than, whatever. And there's nothing inherently wrong with that. But it's figuring out like, I backed away from pasta for a month. Like when I had my surge, 70,000 subscribers in 2 months.
Holy cow, man. That's amazing. Congrats.
Thank you. But I think I screwed myself because after those 2 months, I was doing all these pastas and I was like, whoa, what about the people who came here before the pastas? Like the most of the people who those pasta videos were being served to were real Italians, right? From Italy.
Is that in your demographics? Are a lot of Italians watching your stuff?
Yeah. And
that's awesome.
And they're respectful. Like they're like some of them are like, this is the only American who knows how to make pasta. It's like very flattering stuff. But after that, I was like, I need to cater to the people who were here before. Just all like those people think of me as just pasta instantly, right? Like I go from a cooking channel to 70,000 people in a month find me, and I am a pasta channel. And that's very confusing for me. So I'm like, I need to go back to other recipes. So I start making all these other recipes and I can see not my channel subscriber count go down, but the growth go down to a point where I was like, oh my God, like I'm growing at what I did when I was like at 1,000 subscribers.
Yeah.
And so I realized there like, I just killed my momentum. Maybe I could have been riding a wave to 300, 500,000, you know what I mean?
You may have burned out though. Like if you don't, maybe you just could have been full on pasta guy, but just in talking to you, I don't think that's what you want to do, man.
No. Cooking is more about pasta. Like pasta, it's what I do, but I'm not a pasta cook. I'm not a chef.
Yeah,
I'm a home cook.
Yeah.
Home cooks do not specialize in one thing or the other. And you may be an Italian grandma or whatever, but like your job as a family this is very my subjective view of it is like, you're the chef of the house.
Yeah.
You got to figure out how to cook whatever the house needs to cook.
Yeah.
If it's a holiday, you got to cook a holiday. If it's not pasta, you know what I mean? Like you have to know how to do these things. And so like, I don't like the pigeonhole, but like, at the same time, it's like, God bless it. Like, well, where would I be without it?
Yeah. It's a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
But if people are there to really watch your content, and when you do have one that pops, and say it's not the pasta, which I'm assuming this has to have had happened since your pasta spike, is if you do have another video that pops, then it will start to be served to other people that at least have some familiarity with the aesthetic of your channel, even if it was through one video. And what I've realized is that even if it's not the pasta, in my case, if I'm doing like a Premiere Pro tutorial, but then I may do, like I did an unboxing on a MacBook Pro, and I was like, people watch unboxing videos, I'll see what happens. And I released that video at 1 a.m. and it was more about like, I need to get a video out on this day. Like I missed the mark, but I'm still going to get it out like with whatever, because I want to be consistent. And I woke up and it had like 7,000 views. And for my channel, that's like a lot. And it was one camera, just like an overhead shot, and me just talking about my experience with a MacBook Pro. It had like zero editing in it, and that's the kind of stuff when I see that, and I'm like, I spent 2 weeks on this other video that has like 300 views, but the amount of people that are commenting and everything, like it means something to the people that watched it. But sometimes it's just when you feed the beast, it can just reward you in some ways, and other ways you just don't know what will click with a lot of people.
What's tricky is like, did pasta pop for me because I'm inherently the best at it in my work? Like that's the thing. I'm most comfortable with it. Like
the way that you explain it and everything.
Right. Like, but because I'm also another video that is one of my top viewed videos, Philly cheesesteak video.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, is it me provoking? A lot of my pastas say how to make real, whatever. Like there's one word in it that makes a big difference, I believe. And so I use that same word, I think, in my cheesesteak video. And now I'm starting to think, well, am I just not approaching the titles the same way with other recipes as I do when I'm trying to provoke? Like I know how to provoke Italians and people who are pasta video watchers. I don't necessarily know how to do that with other cuisine. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
maybe it's just that my understanding of pasta. It's like you wonder. It's like, what is it like? It makes me think. People know me for pasta for a reason, you know what I mean? And like maybe there's something there. Maybe I can learn from what I do with my pasta videos and apply them to my other videos to get those to perform as my pasta videos
I already know you've
do.
been thinking about that.
No, but here's the thing: is I'm also lazy, so it's like, whoa, like what am I gonna do? Go and redo the titles to all
I
my
think you're
videos?
being really humble in saying that you're lazy.
No, I actually really am.
Well, to put the amount of effort and the amount of content that you've put out over the last 2 years, you say, I don't think that is any short feat of any creator.
Well, thank you, but I mean, like I'm thinking, like I will like not add in B-roll footage when I'm editing because I'm like, I'm so lazy. I don't want to, like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm at a point there where, like, I feel like I need, maybe that's just like the need of a vacation.
I don't know. I think some of that also has to do with there's two type of people that will watch a video. Like I just said with the unboxing video, one angle, not even the best camera, not even the best like lighting or anything. I'm just opening the box and then talking about it. Like anybody could go and talk about a MacBook Pro. And I didn't... it was the simplest of things, but it got so many views. I felt so bad for the people that clicked on the video because I'm like, dude, I'm just sitting here talking to the camera about what I'm opening up and all this stuff. But then if you see all of the numbers and you're like, well, maybe that's what people actually like, getting back to authenticity. That's maybe what people want to see or a certain type of person wants to see.
Yeah, and I'm worried because like maybe that would work for me, but I also think it wouldn't. So I'm terrified to even try anything like that.
Yeah, oh yeah.
For me, it's
yeah.
like, how do I thumbnail it? And then like, if it's just me talking to the camera, it's like nobody's gonna really want to hear it, and like I don't have any confidence.
I think
that.
you have getting back to format. I think you have everything set. Yeah, like just keep doing what you're doing. All right. If you are still listening, I would love you so much if you would share out this podcast and you could tag the Food Freak with 2 Ks. I was about to do 3, but 2 Ks and Javier Mercedes X. And if you were super special, what you could do is you could write down the URL that you found the podcast on and then send that to somebody via snail mail. I want to keep saying that at the end of each one of my podcasts until somebody actually does it. And then you could tag
snail mail is cool.
Yeah. I think it would be cool. And if you could tag me on Instagram at Javier Mercedes X saying that, hey man, I sent it to somebody just to check out the podcast. You'd be the first one to, and the best person, and the number one awesomest person ever in life, besides my family. And Steven. All right, guys.
Thank you so much, man. This was great talking to you.
Until next episode, I hope you're out there living a life of abundance.